And I also have no idea why I'm sitting this close to the camera, especially when I'm wearing dodgy foundation. Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah and I have a bit of a confession to make. A couple of confessions actually. Number one, I had no idea what to make a video about this week. And number two, this just gives you an example of what a scatterbrain I am. So I went to do my makeup, couldn't find my foundation. I looked everywhere for it, I couldn't find it. So I had to kind of root around in my, I was going to call it a beauty drawer. It is not a beauty drawer, it's just a trash drawer with crap in it. But I found another foundation that I've probably just kept in case I ever bare my legs and need to cover up bruises or whatever. So I slapped that on. So I'm not sure about it. But of course, then I found my foundation. Where was it? In my makeup bag. So that's the kind of day I'm having. But yeah, like I said, I really couldn't think of something to make a video about today. And I also have no idea why I'm sitting this close to the camera, especially when I'm wearing dodgy foundation, but I can't be bothered setting it up any differently now. Yeah, so I was feeling a bit uninspired. My energy levels are really low at the moment, and any topic that I thought about doing a video about would involve kind of, you know, moving, putting in energy, going and looking in my bookshelf, up the stairs, that sort of stuff. Could be bothered. So I've decided to just do a really quick video this week about my reading habits. I'm always really fascinated about people's, well, habits in general, but reading habits I'm really quite interested in as well. So I thought I would do this video and maybe you guys could drop me a comment and let me know what's your weirdest reading habit, what's the reading habit you can't shake, what's your worst reading habit, I don't know, just let me know and I will talk about some of mine. To me, they all feel completely normal and not at all weird, but you can let me know if there's anything I do that you're just like, why would you do that? Or maybe we share the same habits and I'd love to know that as well. So probably my longest standing habit, and it's not set in stone, but if I don't follow it I feel really like itchy, is I have to finish reading. So if I'm moving on to something else, I have to finish reading with a full stop at the end of the page. I really hate having to stop when there isn't one, but sometimes this habit can get me into a bit of trouble, like if it's before bed and I can't find a page that has a full stop at the end, I end up staying up late. And obviously, like if I'm called away with something like a screaming child or a phone call or whatever, then I will just stop where I am. But if I get the chance, I like to go back and then find a proper place to finish. I do not dog ear my pages. It's something I probably did do when I was younger, but now the thought of it just makes me feel a bit sick. I always use a bookmark, whether that is an actual proper bookmark, of which I have quite a few really nice ones, or just, you know, whatever's to hand, whether it's a envelope or a tissue or something to put in the book. And it's not as if I keep my books in pristine condition anyway, so I don't know why I've got this kind of reaction to folding over the corners of books, because my spines are usually broken. I mean, a lot of the time they're broken before I even get them because I buy a lot of my books secondhand. But you know, I'm not precious. I quite like it when a book looks like it's been read, but to me the pages are sacred. I always read before bed, and it's become such an ingrained habit to me that I can't go to sleep unless I've read at least a little bit. And that goes for if I've come home drunk from the pub, or even if it's really late and I really should get to sleep, I have to read something. And this is now being mirrored in my commute to and from work, although yeah, with lockdown it has been months since I actually did my commute, but I do have quite a lengthy train journey to and from my office in the city. So the city, as if I work in the financial district or something, I just work up the town. But yeah, I always have to read on my commute. If for whatever reason I get caught up with my phone, or God forbid I see someone I know and I have to sit and make conversation with them on my commute, I really feel as if I've wasted that time because I haven't picked up a book. So I pretty much always read on my commute, and if I see you, I will pretend that I haven't seen you so I don't need to talk to you so I can read. Now the next one is a fairly new habit to me, but it's one I really regret not adopting sooner. I always read the acknowledgements pages in books now. So this came after I read one of Anne Bogle's books, I think it must have been I'd Rather Be Reading, where she draws attention to the fact that the acknowledgements page can really tell you a lot about the author and about the process they went through in writing that particular book. And ever since I read that, I've always read the acknowledgements, and they can be really insightful, interesting, and just, I don't know, they make you feel a little bit more connected to the book as well, so I always read the acknowledgements. On the flip side, what I never do is I will never watch an adaptation if I have any interest in reading the book. And this probably taps into why I don't do a lot of rereads either. I don't like knowing what's going to happen. Even on the books that are on my shelves, I tend not to read the blurbs before I read them anymore. Like I will obviously have read the blurb at some point in the past because it's the thing that I tend to go on when buying a book. But once a book is on my shelf, I will pick it up sort of blind. I'll have forgotten what the blurb says and I'll just get on with the book. I've spoilt that a little bit for myself by doing TBRs, because when I discuss books I have to kind of revisit and see what they're about, and that isn't such a biggie for me actually, the way that I thought it might have been. But for me, there's absolutely no way that I would watch an adaptation and then read the book. To me, it would just be such a spoiler. I really want to see Normal People, but I'm going to read that this month before I watch it. Little Fires Everywhere is also on my TBR for this year, and I will not watch the adaptation until I've read that. Same with films, doesn't matter. The book always has to come first. And this other habit, I'm aware, is probably my weirdest one. It's probably going to make me sound a little bit either like a weirdo or a control freak, or just as if I have no life, and possibly all of those three apply. Because I do a number of different yearly reading challenges, I want to make sure that I will fit all the books in. So I try to typically read about 1 to 2 challenge read books a week. So in order to make sure that I keep on this target, before I start a book, I will see how many days I've got to read it, whether that's the full 7 or if I'm splitting the week between other books or whatever. Then I will work out how many reading sessions I will have in those days. So for instance, if it's a weekday, then I'll have 2 reading sessions of my commute and reading before bed. If it's a weekend that I don't have the children, it could maybe be 2 to 3 reading sessions during the day and reading before bed, so that would be 4 sessions over the day. And then I will divide the amount of pages in the book between the number of reading sessions I'm going to have in order to finish that book, and then that sets me a target of the amount of pages I have to read at any given reading session. Now this sounds like it's sucking the joy out of reading, but for me it kind of is what keeps me going. I think if I didn't set a target, I could quite easily end up giving up some of my reading time to other things like watching booktube or TV or just scrolling mindlessly. I think for me, having a target is part of the fun of reading. It's part of the fun of getting through the reading challenges, and it makes sure that I keep my reading life alive. Before I did this sort of approach to my reading, sometimes I could read as few as 1 book a month, and that's just not what I want for my reading life, so setting the target really does help. And finally, I've talked about an app that I use to track my reading before when I was talking about all the different ways that I track my reading, and I'll link that video below, but I use I think it's Bookly, to track my reading. So basically I hit start when I start reading, and then when I've finished I log the percentage I got to if it's on my Kindle, or the number of pages that I read if it's a physical book. And I've got to the point now where if I go to start reading and I don't have my phone to hand, so I can't put the app on, I mean that happens very rarely, but if I do, I really I really don't like it. It messes with my head. So yeah, I've kind of quickly become addicted to tracking my reading stats, how long it takes me to read a book, how long it'll take me to finish it, all that sort of stuff. So the Bookly app is a really big part of my reading life now. So those are my reading habits, or at least the ones that I can think of just now. Are any of them weird to you? Do you think any of them are a complete waste of time? Or do you share any of them? I would love to know. But I think I've exposed enough of myself for 1 week. So until next time, bye. And let you know that goes for if I've come home